In this video, you'll get to understand a little more about what gig work is like in the future. And I'll tell you how this book relates to my game, and also why someone has put a ladder behind my studio and started hoovering, so keep an eye out for that. Hi, I'm Gareth Damian Martin, and welcome to my London Games Festival official selection video. Let's get started. Citizen Sleeper is a role-playing game set on a corporate space station at the edge of a far future society.
Wake up, Sleeper. Dreaming again?
It's a game about trying to survive in a precarious situation.
Every cycle, you take your chances.
As a sleeper,
You roll your dice.
which is someone who has sold their consciousness to a corporation
You do the work, get paid, survive.
to work for them and been placed in an artificial body.
You turn up for your friends, or you don't. That's life on the eye.
After escaping from that corporation, you have to learn to survive on this space station.
Wake up, sleeper. Your body is dying. Planned obsolescence. SNRP's gift for its escaped workers.
And you play the game through
But we can fight this.
day by day,
You can remake yourself here.
deciding what to do with your time
They don't own you anymore.
and who to ally with.
Wake up, sleeper. You are hunted.
Which factions to support,
Break their locks.
which to avoid,
Access their secrets.
and how to build a life for yourself in this strange world.
We are waiting.
The game's based around tabletop RPG mechanics, so it pulls a lot of ideas from the tabletop space. That means each day you roll a number of dice, and those dice you assign to actions, and that'll help you progress throughout the game. So if you decide to work in a scrapyard or you decide to take a shift in the bar, that's where you place your dice, and those actions will tick clocks, which are ways of tracking events in the game. And those clocks will lead to events. So you're constantly deciding, what do you do with your time? Who do you support? How do you want to learn to survive in this world? And as you do that, then the narrative progresses around you and changes around you, depending on the choices you make. So here we're choosing a location to visit and then assigning a dice to an action. And you can see that you have a choice between actions at some locations. And then after you assign the dice, you get to see the outcome of the action. So there we've gained some money from the action and we've managed to tick a clock a little way. And then we're moving to another location where we can see, again, a choice of actions that we can select. Here's this is the drive menu. So drives are very important in the game in the way that they let you choose what to do next, but they'll also give you access to upgrades, which you can see here on the character screen. In this far future world, it's very difficult to make a living outside of corporate work. And one of the ways that people pay off debts they might have incurred is by signing themselves up to be digitized and to be placed in an artificial body that can then be sent to do work all across the universe. The person who gets digitized just gets put into cryogenic sleep until their debt is paid off, while their consciousness lives in this artificial body and pays off this work. It's a pretty grim existence, and it's an existence that the person who had themselves copied would never know existed. It's like not being able to remember your workday, but that workday lasting for years and years that it takes for someone to pay off this debt. But the character you play specifically has escaped from that life, and now outside of corporate control, their body is decaying, and they need to find the corporate medications that will keep them alive. And so in the game, you play as a character whose body is not only not their own property, but it's also decaying. And so part of the struggle in the game is finding the medication, finding the support that will allow you to keep living day by day as you go through the game. So the game also allows you to access the data cloud of the station, where you can use dice to hack information from different nodes. So here we're having to match the dice based on each node, and we're going to extract data from that node that's going to help the player try to survive in this world. The data is of value to different characters throughout the game. And in the data cloud, we can also find other artificial entities, artificial intelligences and protocols that are left over from the station after it collapsed. And here we're meeting the Hunter protocol, who's a character who will follow you until you deal with them in the data cloud and might cause problems for you there too. Character scenes in Citizen Sleeper take place on the right-hand side of the screen like this. And you can see that you have choices between different things to say to different people. And yeah, okay, that clip's very short. So all the character art in Citizen Sleeper is done by Guillaume Singelin. I was not expecting in the beginning to use an artist on Citizen Sleeper. I was thinking that maybe I would do the art myself. But my first video game, In Other Waters, Guillaume did on Twitter a piece of fan art of that game. And at the same time, I was reading his graphic novel, PTSD. PTSD follows this a war veteran who's struggling with life on the streets. And so, yeah, this was a story that I was really deeply invested in, and something that I really wanted to try to capture the similar kind of emotions of living at the edge of society that the graphic novel had. Basically, I decided that he would be the perfect person to work with. The variety of characters is also very important to Citizen Sleeper. It's not just a story about military sci-fi. There's street food vendors, there's doctors, there's characters like Ankita, who's a mercenary stranded on the Eye who needs help to repair her ship. There's Dragos, who's a salvager who's heavily in debt and may need your help to escape from it. There's Emphis, a street food vendor who likes experimenting with new recipes, but also likes to hear stories. And so if you bring him ingredients, he will make food for you in exchange for you telling him a story. There's also Lem and Mina. Lem's a shipyard worker, and he has a young daughter, Mina. And one of the interactions you can have in the game is looking after Mina in order to allow Lem to work his way into the shipyards. Character scenes in Citizen Sleeper take the form of continuous prose, and you can see here that players get to choose how they might speak to characters, but it also gives me a very broad possibility when writing stories in the game, because by using text as the primary method of communication supported by the character art and the 3D world, I can tell a large variety of stories without having to worry about how much it costs to have a gunfight on screen, or to have spaceships leave and arrive, or to have many different characters in a discussion. I can really, it allows me to tell a really broad range of stories just through text. So the station that you spend your time on in Citizen Sleeper also expands the more that you put time into it. So here we're assigning a dice to explore an area, and that means a new node is turning up for us, and we can now visit the farm stacks here and work there. So players also, depending on where they spend their time, will see more of the station. And some players will see more of one area or another, depending on what they're interested in exploring. So the station, the Eye that the game takes place on, is a ring station, which means that you have this one long spinning rim that the player can scroll along. And you also have these spokes that lead towards the center. So part of exploring the station is also these different areas of the station. So both this rim that has artificial gravity because it's spinning in space, and then these spokes that lead up to a central hub where all of the ships dock with the station and where there's no gravity at all. So Citizen Sleeper is in the final stages of production now. We're deep in the process of QA, clearing out all the bugs from the game and making sure everything is ready for release. The game will be coming out in spring 2022, and we're hoping to have more to say soon about the exact date for that. So the design of the station which you explore in Citizen Sleeper means that you never really get to see the interior of any of the spaces. So as you can see here, the focus really has been on creating a space that looks interesting from the outside, but also has a lot of details that evoke the sense of movement. In a way, the reference point for me was the idea of looking at a city from a distance and seeing all the lights of cars moving, in this case, ships moving, seeing kind of small signs of activity everywhere, and imagining the lives that are going on inside buildings and inside the world. And so Citizen Sleeper its kind of diorama world that you explore is designed to really try to encourage your imagination, and try to encourage you to imagine the detail of this world rather than necessarily be shown every single character and every detail and location. Well, that's it. I hope that they've enjoyed this insight into Citizen Sleeper. If you like what you saw, then you can follow the game on Steam. You can wishlist it there, and you can also follow us on Twitter at Citizen Sleeper. See you then.